let you go live on there. But what up though, everybody? Thank you for tuning in to What Up Though Fridays. Today's topic is it better to rent or own? Or to basically be a tenant or landlord, basically. Like which one you want to do. Um we got my boy Reggie P on here again tonight as our might as well be reoccurring special guest. Emma had some business to attend to, so she couldn't attend tonight. And Marcus might jump on here. I'm not sure, but I know he had some stuff he had to take care of too. So Reggie, tell everybody about yourself, who you are, what you do, what you be.
Reginald Perryman. Reggie is real estate because I do everything real estate. Yeah. Um, Actually, you know what's funny? This is my 30th year in real estate, and it didn't dawn on me until like I was in the office, and it was like, yeah, you've been in this 30 years. So, yeah,
I believe it because
30 years.
I didn't realize I've been licensed. It'll be 10 years this August. I'm like, oh, that's going by fast.
Right. Yeah, most people retire or something after 30 years. So I'm like, man, I ain't retiring.
Like I'm a goat out here, son.
Yeah.
But all right, y'all. So a couple church announcements as always. We have Detroit Real Estate Weekend, the first weekend in August, August the 4th through the 7th. We have the official rates on the site, so it won't change no more. 'Cause I know y'all probably seen they've been changing. So those are the official rates. We have a VIP price, which includes a meet and greet with special invited guests that's in the city and not in the city. That will be attended that we'll start announcing in April. What else? It includes your hotel stay at the David Whitney Aloft, which is a very, very nice hotel downtown Detroit. You can get out, walk around, do your thing. The event is actually there too. We have people from the land bank coming to speak. Who else? City planning, some big developers, uh, everybody in Detroit who's doing awesome stuff that practice good business basically will be there. So you should be there too, especially if you are interested in investing in Detroit and you don't know nothing about Detroit, ain't never been here, or you know heard bad stuff, and you need some clarification. So the tickets, the link is in the comments, and yep, when it sell out, it sell out. I can't add no more. The sponsorship package will be done in the next couple of days. A lot of people ask me about that, so I'll be sending that out as well. So I think that's it for my church announcement. Do you got any events coming up, Red?
No, I don't have any personal events right now that I'm putting together. I got some stuff just for like our past clients and some agent stuff. I'm just participating in everybody else stuff this year.
Nothing wrong with it. Like Erica re-invited us back to come to her. So every year, except for last year, I think she does a event like a thank you event for her investors, like a
Yep.
boat party. So she invited us to come out because she coming for ours. So I was like, yeah, we come support you. It's just gonna be hot as hell in August in Texas, but whatever.
Right. Yep. We're going to Austin in August. Yep.
What time in August?
I gotta look at the dates. I think it's the around the like 14th or something. I'll double check and text you.
Yeah, let me know because if it's you said Austin, y'all going there?
Yep.
All right, so yeah, I'll let you know, and then we all can hang out.
Yeah, because we gonna I know a couple brokers down there in Houston, so we might just end up staying the whole week and then making our rounds.
That's what I did when I went to see her last time. You know, I hate flying Southwest, but I had points that was about to expire. So I flew to Austin, then flew to Houston, then flew somewhere else, then came home so I can
Yeah.
eat them points up. I'm like, this cool, but I hate Southwest. But anyway, we about to get started. Instagram, we are live on YouTube and Instagram as well. Uh, if you got any questions, I'll put the link in the comments, and you can come and join on. Like if you want to show your face or not, well, you gotta show your face. I think you can turn your camera off on here and still talk like you do. But the link is in the comments on Facebook and YouTube and Instagram. Y'all have to come over here. So I guess we can get started. So the topic is it better to be a tenant, basically, or rent, or to be an owner or a landlord? I think it depends. So like in my situation, I'm thinking about moving out of state, right? Because all my family is down south. So I'm like, if I move to let's say anywhere that's not Detroit, I'm gonna have bills. Like I don't have no bills up here. I ain't got no mortgage. I ain't got no rent. Like all I gotta pay is DTE, the water bill, all state for homeowners insurance, and property tax. That's it.
Right.
and that's nothing. Like I don't think my bills total is 1,000 a month. So it's like that's 12 grand a year. Now I
That's
could
the
say,
question is why you moving?
well, I thought about moving because my aunt, all right, everybody know my auntie. I love her to death. That's like my second mom. She's
Okay.
62, and she's moving to Orlando, Florida next Wednesday.
Oh,
So
wow.
she
Yeah.
I still got a lot of family here, but it's like that's the last closest thing to my mom here, other than my great aunt. My great aunt is still living, which is amazing. So she's in Detroit. But I'm like, she go to Florida. My sister's in Georgia. My dad's in Georgia. My mom whole side that's not in Detroit is in South Carolina. So I'm like, if I go to Georgia, everybody's 2 hours this way, 3 hours this way, or whatever. So that's the real reason why I thought about it. But then
Okay.
I was like, I ain't trying to pay nobody no rent or no mortgage.
Right.
So I'm just gonna be driving.
Yeah.
Cause I'm like, I don't. That's bills. Why have bills if I don't have to?
Right.
But
Yeah,
I
that
was like,
makes sense.
I don't know. I was like, I might get myself to like 45, which is not that far from here. I'm about to be 40 next year. Then I was like, all right, maybe. But today, nah, bro.
Yeah, you get that age to where the cold weather start making your joints hurt. You might consider moving south.
Or I just had me a summer house somewhere. Cause
That's
like if I moved to where my dad at in Columbus, Georgia slash Smith Station, Alabama, right? We got so much land to where I could take one of my granddaddy's blueprints that are still in great shape and just build whatever I want.
right.
Or I could stay with my dad and still don't have no bills.
Yeah. Build you a little small house on the land, and
Yeah,
you just use it whenever you go down there and Airbnb it or something when you are up here.
yeah, I thought about that too. So I'm like, hmm. But right now, I like having no bills.
Yep.
Like it don't cost us no fly to Atlanta from here and rent a car and drive wherever I gotta go. So I don't know.
And
Which
when you think about it too, like when your expenses low, because that's what we've been kind of house hunting for the past few years.
yeah,
It's funny because a lot of the properties, like the past two properties that I brought that I actually got, I ended up flipping them because it was so much equity in them. And
yeah,
like I did try to buy something retail on the market, but people was going 20 and 30 over. So I'm in a situation like you where I don't really have no bills like that, and it's like, do I really need to move or do I just want to move?
right,
That ties in what we're talking about with home ownership because when you own your home, if you can pay it off or get your mortgage down, I mean, that landlord not gonna let you not have bills, right?
thanks,
They're gonna keep increasing. With your mortgage is different.
true.
So
And
yeah,
then it's like if I rent go up every year, especially in Detroit now. Like I seen that article from Curb. I think the first one was like, "What can 1,000 get you in Detroit?" The last one was like, "What can 2,200 a month get you in Detroit?" I'm like, "Excuse me." Like if I'm paying 2,200, I'm on the water overlooking Canada.
yeah. So it's the real reason I wanted to come on tonight because I've been dealing with this probably since yeah since So at when 2020 before the pandemic, before lockdown here, we were starting to see this with tenants, but it stopped. But in 2021, it came back like everybody was calling me like, "Do you have a place to rent? My landlord's selling the house. Do you have?"
Yep.
Because a lot of these people were in these houses, and all the people that's really catching it they moved into these homes as tenants 8, 10 years ago. The market was down. They was paying 700, 750 a month.
Hmm.
Now the landlord is like, man, I brought this house for 40, now it's worth 180. I'm selling because they can't get they probably still can't get no more than 12 or 1300 for it a month
Hmm.
for rent. And they like and the tenants is there and the tenants just got too comfortable. So now they're back out here in the world that they can't afford, at least not in the areas that they're used to. So
Yep.
now they have to move to like a suburb that's not as attractive or move in different areas that they're not comfortable with. So it kind
Hmm.
of put you in a bad situation. I think as a tenant, just like a home buyer or homeowner, you should constantly be paying attention to the market, even though you're not looking to move. I tell people if you got a good landlord and you can afford your rent, don't even thinking about move. Don't think about moving right now because
Facts.
it's it's a dog fight out here. Like for tenants, it's bad for people trying to buy a house. You bidding against 13 people, but for tenants, it's hard. The application fee, you paying $50 per application per house. So you're
Hmm.
paying $300 or $400 in application fees, and you'll see some properties they got 31 applications on it, right?
Just for a tenant.
Yeah, yep. So
That's
it's like then they want you to have so if you let's say somebody that's trying to rent between maybe like 900 1200, so they want you to have first month's rent, um, security deposit, which is 1.5 times. Then
mhm.
your income has to be 2.5 times the rental amount. Like the qualifications are almost equal to what it takes for you to qualify for a mortgage.
Facts.
So like they want your credit to be good. You can't have any collections. If you got any utility collections, it's a wrap. Um, they looking at all of that, and they have most landlords right now. They have to be extra careful because a lot of them got burnt during the lockdown with the moratoriums and everything. So now
True.
they're like, oh, we're gonna be even more strict on our tenants and our due diligence with selecting tenants. So yeah, it's rough out here for tenants.
Real rough. Cause
Yeah.
I noticed like a lot of the requirements, like you said, to be a tenant is like y'all might go get a mortgage and your payment gonna be cheaper. But I think a lot of people don't want to be homeowners because now it's more responsibility on you. Because when you a tenant, you can pick up the phone like, "Hey, this wrong," and they gotta come fix it. Compared to a homeowner, it's wrong, but how wrong is it? Because I gotta pay for it.
Yeah. So the thing is, it's like a lot of people. What I think a lot of tenants don't understand is you're still paying whatever the cost it is to maintain the property. You're still paying for it. You're just not responsible for it.
Exactly.
If your house note was 800 or 900 with taxes and insurance, because interest rates so low now, with taxes and insurance, you're good. But what if the roof start leaking or the hot water tank go out and you got to come up with several $1,000s or $2,000? Well, if you was renting for 1,100 a month, you just simply put that 300 extra dollars aside every month for home emergencies, right? So
Mm-hmm.
the landlord is charging you 1,100 plus so that they can cover their mortgage, have some profit, and have money left over for expenses in case something happened. So either way, you still paying it. It's just that most people won't be able to manage their money to where they can save for those emergencies. So for like you said, the responsibility part is why most people rent instead of owning in most cases. But when you choose not to take responsibility, it always costs you in life.
Yeah, because I think so. Like you were saying, if you a tenant, right, the way rent is going up in Detroit, you about to be in like the hood of hoods, which it ain't gonna be hood long, so it's gonna be the same situation to where you're paying that low rent for now instead of 8 to 10 years, it might be 2 years that you're gonna
Right,
be low rent, and then it's gonna jump up significantly. You got to move again, but by the time that happens, you're gonna have to leave the city to get cheaper rent. Because what it seems like is happening in Detroit, I don't know if you see this too, but it seems like what it's costing to live in Detroit, like I've been telling people for years, if you leave, you're not gonna be able to afford to come back. And they
right,
making certain suburbs right outside Detroit, Warren, Centerline, Southfield, Oak Park. Now those are becoming the price of rents of what Detroit used to be.
right. Well,
And
not Southfield.
not Southfield,
Yeah.
but
Um,
definitely Warren.
it's more like Warren, South Warren, not North Warren. So like South
Yeah,
of 9 Mile. Because remember, property values start determining rents.
true.
Because the more investors got to pay, the more they need to collect the rent to make their ROI make sense, right?
Hmm.
Or if they're doing going by cap rates or whatever. So the you're gonna see people moving to places like Ecorse, Taylor, um, more,
Riverview.
yeah, River Road, some of those cities, or they're gonna start moving from people that I had a lady call me. She was living in Bagley for 11 years, paying 900 a month.
Oh, no more.
Her landlord selling the house now. That's why she called me. I'm like, give me your landlord's number, right? Because I'm like, okay, I can find somebody to buy it or I'll buy it. But if I buy it, I'm not renting it because I know it's a flip all day, right?
All day.
Or she's trying to sell it for top of the market, which is probably going to be closer to 200,000. Nobody's buying that for 200,000 to rent it for 950.
Hell
So
no.
she's going to have to move. She probably can't even get south of 6 Mile for 950 right now. She might have to go closer to like Finco or something like that.
Or Brightmore.
Yeah, Brightmore, and I'm seeing Brightmore 750 on some of them properties, 750, 800.
That's
So
what I'm saying. Like you gonna have to move to a Brightmore, but Brightmore rent is not gonna stay because Brightmore used to be $400-500.
right,
So
right,
it's not gonna stay at that 800-900 no more. I give Brightmore another 2 years for stuff because it's too much land. Like I've been telling people for years, there's too much land over there.
yep,
Gucci Homes did not tear them houses down out the kindness of their heart, and they ain't even charged the city. It was for free.
right,
Or if it was free, I know it was a discounted price because I remember they hired people in the neighborhoods to help, like with the demo and cleanup and stuff. I'm like, so y'all thinking they doing this because out of their sweet Christian heart? No, absolutely not.
right, yep,
Not happening. No, sirree. It's not. Like I'm about to get a house in Baltimore right now for 9 grand, and the rehab is halfway done. Like they basically didn't know what they was doing, so they ran out of money. So I was like, I'm gonna fix it up and I'm gonna put a tenant in there. I'm gonna rent it to the refugee program.
yeah, yep. And you can, Brightmore is one of the areas. So people talk about investing, but I don't know why people so stuck on a fix and flip. So I mean, it's money in it. Don't get me wrong, because I fix and flip, but that's like the quick come up money. You build your money up, you stack it up, then you start buying and holding, or
Yeah.
you wholesale until you stack your money up, and then you buy and hold. But like areas like Brightmore, the reason I like Brightmore is because you look at maybe like a 900 to maybe 1,200 square foot home, it's not a lot to renovate there, right? Especially if you find one of the brick ones. So you got your roof, your mechanicals, those the most expensive things you're gonna run into. Everything else you can kind of gauge the cost based on if you want to do granite or not, you want to do laminate or you know what I'm saying, what type of flooring you want. But
Mhm.
the cost to renovate gonna be a lot less than you buying a big, a big 2 story, 16, 1,800 square foot over off of 6 Mile in Livernois or something. So
And a lot of them houses in Brightmore don't have basements,
exactly.
so you
And
save money on that too.
people never understood why. Like I, when I went to the tax sale a few years ago, and I brought a couple properties, small 2 bedroom properties, like on Glastonbury. People was like, "Why you buy houses so small like that?" I'm like, one at $3,000. My renovation, you know what I'm saying, was under 20 grand, and you can rent. I was still renting them for 750, 800 a month at the
Mhm.
time until I sold my land contract and then got even more money. So it was like you people just look at things wrong. People don't look at numbers. Just like with the cost of renting versus owning, um, I look at people. I had a lot of clients that were like in Oak Park. They paid like 130, 140 for their homes, and when the market crashed, these properties went down. The values went down to 40 and 50,000, but they
Mhm.
were only paying $800 a month on their mortgage. A lot of these people walked away from their home because they were looking at the property value, not the cost to live. And so fast forward, you can't get a 3 bedroom brick ranch in Oak Park for under 190. Everything is like 200, maybe like 220, 230, depending on the condition. Those same people can't afford to go back to Oak Park, like
Nope.
you said earlier. So, But what was funny was they were leaving their home because the value dropped, but they were leaving a mortgage of $800 to go pay rent somewhere and pay $800 and $900 a month for rent. So
You
I'm
know
like,
what happens too? I had this one client who bought a wholesale deal for me. It was a couple years ago. The people living there sold the house to the investor. Why they still living there renting from that investor? Because the house that they got was a beautiful brick, AC, already they updated and everything like that. It needed a little work, but it was more than livable. They can't get what they sold anywhere for the amount they trying to pay.
exactly.
I'm like, you
Now
should have sold the house.
here's the funny part. So I think part of renting, not wanting to own a home, is it's the responsibility part, but sometimes I think it's just the mindset of some people. Because what I remember the mayor was talking about the land bank and how they were taking properties that were tax foreclosed. If they were occupied, they would offer the occupants the opportunity to buy the house for like $1 or $2,000 or whatever the back taxes were. So here you have people that were renting these homes for $800 a month. Then the city come to you. Now keep in mind, after the tax foreclosure, before the land bank took it, they wasn't paying any rent because their landlord pretty much just gave up, lost the house.
Yep.
So here you are, a year later, having paid $800 for a whole year, and the city comes to you and say, buy the house that you're already living in for $3,000 or $1,500 or whatever the case may be. And I think he said the number was high. It's like 60 or 70% of the people turned it down. I'm like, even if you just brought the house and you didn't want to stay there no more, you could have sold it the next week for 20,000 or 30 or whatever.
I wonder if that because people just to them 3,000, oh, that's a lot of money. But if you was putting up that 800 for that whole year, you would have the money.
Exactly. But even the homes that were like, because some of these properties, some of the people that was there was squatters or whatever, but it's like $1,000. Some people wasn't turning it down because they didn't have the money. They just didn't want to be homeowners. So when we talk about should everybody own a home, I'm like, probably yeah if they want to, but not everybody want that responsibility.
But for $1,000, I'm gonna make it my responsibility. Or like you said, I'm just gonna sell it for five real quick or 10.
That's why I said it's some of it's just mindset and not understanding the benefits of it. Because
Yeah.
at that point, if you already living there, you really don't have an excuse not to buy it for that cheap.
But then you have people who are homeowners who lose their houses to taxes, and the tax amount be so small. I'd be like, really? But
Yeah,
y'all done went on family trips the last couple years. Y'all smoking good weed. Y'all drinking every weekend. Y'all hanging. Y'all got the freshest frontal wig I done ever seen. But
yeah,
y'all can pay this $1,500 in taxes the last 3 years. So we talking maybe 5 grand that you owe now.
man, it's a huge gap between there's a lot of like government agencies and entities saying we got to increase home ownership, but then it's people like us that's boots on the ground. When we walk into these houses and we see people living conditions, their lifestyle, and their choices. So I don't try to attack people. I don't try to. I'm past the age where I'm trying to convince people, but it's like if I walk in a house and you tell me you've been living here and you losing a house to taxes, and the taxes are 2,000 a year, but then you got flat screen TVs in every room.
You got the new PlayStation.
Yeah, I'm walking. I see your hair bundle sitting in the other room. You know what I'm saying? You got the 20, you got the 2021 lease. You know what I'm saying? Navigator. Like you're not owning, you leasing it.
No, they got Chargers and Challengers.
Yeah, that too. You know what I'm saying? But it's just like, come on now, like $2,000. It seemed like a lot if you got to pay it in a lump sum. But here's the thing: I don't think most people understand. If you owe $2,000, you get your tax bill today, right?
Mm,
And you get your city tax bill, then you get your county tax bill. And if next month, let's say your city tax is $1,900, and it's not due until June or July or whatever, right?
mm,
If you go down there tomorrow with $300, they not gonna tell you no, you gotta pay the whole thing. They gonna take your $300. Then next month you go down there with 150, right? Then next month you might go down there with $80. Then the following month, so by the time the taxes become due, you might owe $300 or $400,
yep.
right? So the minute you get your bill, just pay something on it, just like you're doing with everything else in your life. You pay something on your car note, you pay that every month. So what make it a monthly bill? And a lot, I can't understand why. Well, I understand because I've been in that position before. Like, oh, it's 3,000, I don't have it. But I learned that if you just pay something on it, you'll be all right.
One thing I learned when I had that terrain and I was broke and I ain't paid my lease for my payment for a year, I know the law. As long as I'm attempting to make a payment, you can't just
Yeah.
take my car. So they got $100 a month for me for a whole year.
Now, now you brought up something. I'm glad you mentioned that too. So here's the biggest benefit. If you notice, one of the biggest benefits of owning a home is having more control over your life. And I'm not talking about, oh, home ownership is the pathway to wealth and all of that stuff. That all sounds good, but if you don't know how to apply it, it don't matter. But the biggest benefit, always think worst case scenario. Everything's going good in your life. You paying $1,100 a month, $1,500, $2,000 a month rent. Everything's going good in the next person's life. They paying $1,500 a month in their mortgage.
Mm-hmm.
And everything hits the fan for both of y'all. Both of y'all lose your job. You get laid off. You collect a little unemployment. Now, the next month you can't pay your rent. Guess what you're gonna get from Asia Denson, your landlord, right? So the next month you can't pay your rent. Guess what you're gonna get from your mortgage company? Oh, we see you're late. Okay, you're 2 months late. So you're gonna get another statement. Then you're gonna get a phone call. Then you're gonna get another phone call. Then they're gonna say, so by the third month, they're gonna be like, hey, do you need any assistance? You
Yep.
need foreclosure assistance? Do you need anything we can do to prevent foreclosure? Do you need to do a loan modification? When do you plan on going back to work?
Mm-hmm.
Now, 5, 6 months later, they like, oh, nothing's working out for you. How about you do a short sale? Then you say, no, I want to do a short sale. Then they say, all right, well, we're going to start foreclosure. So they start the foreclosure process. That may take a month or two to get into court and everything. Then
Mm-hmm.
after that, you got another 6 months
6 months. Yep. To redeem.
for property. Well, at least here in Michigan.
Yeah.
So you got 6 months to either sell the property, pay it off, and some lenders will still say, "Hey, we'll reinstate your mortgage if you can send this amount in," right? Then after the 6 months, oh, they don't automatically get the house. They still got to come do an eviction, which may take another 30 to 60 days, especially now with the courts being backed up.
So you done been in there 18 months and ain't paid nothing.
Yep. Or they gonna give you cash for keys. Bank of America had me get somebody $10,000 to move out of a $40,000 house, right? Just because the eviction process cost them so much, and then they lose so much because the house gets stripped. They was like, if this person give us the keys and we can secure it, and we don't have to pay to clean it out, we don't have to pay the bailiff and the attorney fees, and we good. We'll just give them the money, and it gets to help them relocate.
Did
So
they
why
take
pay the system when we can pay the person to move and they can be on their feet again?
did
So,
they take it?
huh?
Do they be taking it?
Hell yeah, they was taking. I had a few people that didn't take it, and they just rolled it out. And then, like the last day, when the dumpster was in front of the house and the bailiff coming, they was like, "Oh, we was gonna call you and try to get that money." I'm like, "Nah."
It's too late now, bro.
Yep, because the banks will have like, if you accept it, if you accept it, 60 days before a deadline, they'll give you 10,000. If you wait until it's 30 days, you'll get 5,000. If you wait until like 15 days, it'd be like 2,500. After that, they just stop.
Like,
So it's like if you compare those two people that lost their job, one is a tenant and one is a property owner, the process, you can change your life in 18 months.
mm-hmm.
Whereas a tenant, once you get put out and you gotta scramble to get all your stuff, find some place to go, it's hard to recover from that right away, especially if you don't have no income opportunities in sight. But in 18 months, man, you can be 2 months behind on your mortgage. You can double up on Walmart, Uber, McDonald's, everybody hiring right now. You can just work. Your family won't see you, but they'll have a place to stay. You can catch up and you'll
Mm-hmm.
have some time and some grace period. And you just tell the bank, look, this is where I'm at. Most landlords not hearing that.
I'm not.
Exactly.
Like, sorry to hear. But rent still due, my dog.
Because see the difference between the landlord and the bank. The landlord got 31 people that want this spot,
Yep.
right? And since you've been there 5 years, they want this spot at a higher price. With the mortgage company, they like, yeah, if we take this house back, we don't even know if we're gonna be made whole again. We don't know if we're gonna get the full balance by selling it, right?
Mm-hmm.
Well, we do get the balance from selling it. How much is it gonna cost us, and how long is this gonna take? So they're like, man, this is gonna be a 1 year to a year and a half process. So why not work with the person that's already there?
Yeah, cause you right about them banks. Cause when I lost my condo, I was there a year and a half. I ain't pay no mortgage. This is 2012 to 2014, basically, or
Yeah,
13. Cause I didn't move back in with my mom to April 2014. Cause that's when we sold it. So they did. We ended up doing a short sale with I think they now call it Berkshire Hathaway, some up there at the Eastern Market with Salatai.
yeah,
So we ended up closing with them. The people who bought it was from like Ireland or some junk. They gave me 3 grand just not to mess the condo up. They were like, if you don't mess nothing up and leave the appliances, we'll give you 3 grand. I'm like, cool. So the day of closing, they sent the broker by. They looked at the house. I went up there later on that day. So I'm probably like, now where my 3 stacks at, my guy?
yeah,
Like, I needed that because I needed that to pay for storage. So that worked out. But if I would have known about cash for keys and stuff back then, I'd have been like, y'all gonna have to give me 10 racks and y'all can have this mug.
yeah. Because the thing is, that was the other thing. Like, if you leave and they have a clause in there, you got to leave it in good condition, broom swept condition.
Yeah.
Like, they're not paying for the clean out crew and the dumpster and all of that. And they're getting a property that's turnkey. So it's easier for them to put it back on the market and sell it.
Mm-hmm.
Whereas, when you're a tenant, it's really somebody else has some control over your life, and you're paying a premium. You're paying somebody else to take responsibility off of you, and that's fine if that's the type of person you are. But I personally believe there is a place for renting, because, like you said, you might move down south, right?
Mm-hmm.
Let's say you just need time to figure out what your income sources are going to be, and you relocate it, you really don't know the housing market that well, you might just want to rent for several months just to figure things out before you commit to buying, and then you like, damn, I bought in the wrong neighborhood, right?
But what I actually might do, like if I do move out of state, and I suggest this to anybody thinking moving out of state, I suggest that you Airbnb for maybe a month or two
Yep,
in different neighborhoods, and then that way you can be like, all right, I like this neighborhood before you make a real commitment to even renting or being to getting a lease or whatever, and then you can be like, all right, I want to buy a house over here. Like that's what I would personally do.
right. Yep. And then, just study the market a little bit. Talk to a few realtors or investors that you know in
Mm-hmm.
the area, and see what makes sense for you and your family. But it's not wrong with renting. I just think long term, and I don't suggest everybody buy a house right away. Like, if you know for a fact, like, yeah, I'm only gonna be here a year or two, I don't recommend buying a house unless you're
Yeah.
comfortable with either breaking even or possibly being underwater when you sell it.
Yeah,
because
or renting it when you leave or Airbnb or something like that.
yep. But a lot of people though, we call them people accidental landlords. Their intention was not to be a landlord, and
Yeah,
their life situation changed, and they were forced to rent it out to cover the cost because they couldn't sell it. They were in a market where it wasn't appreciating enough to cover the sale of the property, or the market started declining. So they like, yeah, I'm gonna rent it out. And accidental landlords always have a bad experience.
true. You
It's the
know, oh, go ahead.
Yep. So if you buy and you say, okay, I'm only going to be here 2 years and I'm going to rent it out, your mindset is going to be different on how you buy it because the money is made when you buy the property, not when
Mm.
you sell it. So your mindset is going to be like, I need to buy something with some equity. Maybe I need to buy from a wholesaler, or maybe I need to find a distressed sale or something and go in there and buy it. So you're moving in with equity. Now you can be an intentional landlord. You're just waiting 2 years to do it.
You know what I think about to happen to the rental market now? I think it's about to get real crazy whenever this is over in Russia and Ukraine. Because you know America gonna welcome them with open arms as refugees, and they gonna offer land. Like, okay, you know what is it? The Syrian people that's here now.
Yep.
So it was an article earlier in this year. They said there's over 200 people living in hotels in Metro Detroit that's waiting on adequate housing for that program.
Yep.
And they're paying a rent up front, which is gonna be longer because you got to think it's gonna take those people at least 5 to 10 years to acclimate to being over here. They have to learn a new language, learn whatever skill they need to learn so they can get a job and get stable on their feet. I think the government gonna pay for at least the first 5 years. They just gonna keep extending it. So
Right.
once Ukraine or even the Russian refugees, they might allow both of them to come over here. I know they are. It's just a matter of when. We have such a big uh, diverse population here. They already here. There's a lot of Russians and Polish and all that's here, like
Yep.
immigrants and stuff like that. So they're going to need adequate housing too. The issue is the houses, the landlords that's submitting their houses are getting approved for the programs because the house can't pass no city certification. They
Right.
don't have the C of O, or they ain't never had no inspection, ain't nothing up to code. So that's the other issue. Like it's houses here, but they not meeting the basic standards just to be able to get a tenant in there. So
Right.
that's like if you can't find a house now, and if these landlords get themselves together and start fixing their house like they supposed to, it's a wrap for regular Detroiters having somewhere to stay because they gonna show rent somebody that's gonna pay 4 years guaranteed rent.
Right. And that's the thing. Like, so the landlords were used to having subpar inventory, and
Mm-hmm.
it's like, okay, I can get away with this, and I'm not going to invest more money if I can only cap out at this amount. So if the cap for the neighborhood is 1,000 a month, they don't want to spend a 15,000 in improvements, right? But
Mm-hmm.
now, if like the cap is like 1,800, and I'm getting guaranteed income, oh yeah, I'm gonna invest that money, right?
Yeah.
So the landlords are going to start. A lot of landlords are dumping their properties. Like I'm seeing overseas absentee owners sell left and right. But the new landlords are coming in paying a premium price, which means they can't even afford to rent to our current pool of tenants. They have to rent at a higher rate because
Yeah.
they paid more, and they're coming in with the intention of bringing these properties up to code and compliance. So they like, I'm not doing all this to rent to you for 800 a month when
Yeah.
the market is telling me it's 13 or 1400. So I think a lot of tenants are just behind in the market. They didn't have a reason to pay attention to the market until they got back out here, and it's hard.
But I also think what's gonna happen is like back to these refugees and stuff. I think the city or the feds or whoever gonna pay it is gonna pay you a premium because like I talked to Marcus about this. Like if we supply these houses, remember these people don't have anything to what they came over here with. So
Right.
if I put appliances in here, if I put the furniture in here, y'all gotta give me more rent. And I can ask for it and they're gonna pay it because they ain't gotta do nothing. And then
Right.
I can supply clothes because shoot, I got clothes I can donate. I'm sure you do, and anybody else or whatever. We'll furnish that mother with clothes. Now, what's that kid's age? What's their sizes? Y'all tell us, and we do that. And then if I get a person who speaks their language on my staff, it's a wrap.
It's a wrap.
It's a wrap. I'm not
And
to nobody but them.
And a lot of them just want a home. So you got to consider like some people will be willing to live two families to a home, depending on the size, right?
Yep.
They'll make that work. And then they'll pool their resources together and they'll all go find employment or even if it's under the table, right?
Yep.
They'll find employment and then your house will continually be rented because as one family's moving out, another one is moving in,
Yep.
and they're familiar with the area already. So the next family that come in, they got like a welcome party. Hey, this is what's going on with the house, with the area, and they'll pass it over to the next person. You as the landlord, you're just saying, hey, who's the new person sign these papers?
Yep. Go in there and put some fresh paint on, and then you don't even have to do no crazy update. Like what I'm putting on Big Orange, I'm not gonna put in over this on this Brightmore house. It's gonna be nice, basic, but it's gonna be updated and still the code. So instead of me tiling the shower wall, I'm just gonna do a liner kit.
Right.
I'm a
Yep.
tile the floor because I got whatever's in my garage is what's going over there. I'm not buying nothing. So I'm not buying nothing. Whatever, only thing I gotta hardly buy is the furnace and the hot water tank. I updated my mama hot water tank, which still worked, and I was gonna put it over there, but I ended up doing a deal with one of my contractor homies for it. So now I'm gonna have to buy that. I'm gonna have to buy a furnace. But if they gonna pay me to put appliances in there, oh, I'm gonna go right up there to stacking them, selling them cheap on 8 Mile, and put whatever they got on sale over there.
Right.
Work, and all you gotta do is move in.
Yep.
And I'm gonna just keep repeating it. And then I buy in bulk anyway, so whatever left over, every house gonna look the exact same. It's gonna be nice, clean. It's gonna pass inspection. It ain't gonna be no nice shaker style cabinets with easy soft clothes. Oh, absolutely not. But it's not gonna be where you living at right now. And
Right.
it's still gonna be nice to where okay, if I had to live there, I would be okay living there. And I'm like, now regular tenants, now y'all gotta compete with that because if the state or feds gonna give me if the rent in Brightmore 800, but they like we'll give you 2,500 if you furnish this mug. Who you think I'm about to rent to?
Yeah. Yeah.
Guaranteed, they gonna pay you the deposit first month up front. Then they gonna pay you 3 months, and after the 3 months, they paying you the whole rest of the year. So I'm about to get a year's rent within the first 4 months. Man,
And
you
that
ready
pays for the
to rent
house.
for a house that only cost me 9 grand?
Yep.
Crazy.
Yep. And then and that's the thing. Like tenants are most tenants that are in the market, they're not even aware that something like that is happening,
Yep.
right? So we just gotta and that like you mentioned, like the repairs you put into your rental properties probably versus your flips. And like for example, with your tenants, do you allow them to make any type of modifications to the property, whether it's painting, changing carpet, or anything like that?
I don't have any tenants now. I fix mine up, put a tenant in there, and sell it. So I don't have
Okay.
all my stuff is either vacant or it's getting worked on. But
Right.
I have done like I didn't in the past. But anything like under a certain dollar amount that's wrong in that house, that's your responsibility.
Right.
Like if you don't threw some baby diapers and some weed down the toilet drain and it's backing up, you're fixing that.
Right.
But
Okay.
like, I don't think I will allow modifications because I'm big on if I pass all my city certs and permits and you bring somebody here they don't know what they doing and something happened, like if you go cheap, say something wrong with the electrical and you pay to get it fixed and they do a bad job and the house burned down, you
Yeah.
know, I that's why I say no.
Yeah. I'm like that where I used to allow tenants to paint, but now I have a policy like they have to use my contractors. They can pick their colors, but they have to pay my guys to paint. Unless it's somebody like unless the tenant actually has like a contractor or something in their family, because you allow them to paint because they of course they want their own colors. They want to kind of personalize the property.
Yeah.
But the paint job be so horrible, and you be like, God, dog. Or they use some crazy paint color schemes that when you go back in, it's like it's just terrible. So I don't allow them to paint because the paint job be so bad. It's paint all on the windows, then on the hardwood floor and stuff like that. So it's like, nah.
I
But
don't
when
think I
you
would
do,
let them paint either because my thing is if you want to make it personal, you should bought a house.
yeah, and that's what I'm saying. Like when you
That's
own a
how I
house,
look at it.
you can do what you want with it. Yep. And
Facts. If you want to burn it down, that's on you. If you want to paint every wall in the room a different color, that's on you. But whatever house I do, if I go with the gray scheme, that's what it's gonna stay with. Or I go with like a soft tan. It depends on what paint I already got is what this color gonna be.
right.
Cause I'm not buying it. As much stuff as I don't have to, I'm not buying. Cause I gotta start unloading this garage anyway. All right, man, we got a few questions. So somebody said, what are the calculations to do a renovation? So I said, renovations can vary, but a typical Detroit house gonna hit you 35 to 75,000. That's like a basic rehab. That ain't no full gut now. If it's a full gut, you're looking about 150 and up.
Yeah, and that's probably what like so your 30,000 would be like a little ranch style, one
Yep.
story or a bungalow maybe.
Yep.
Are you just doing like maybe a little bit of wall work, some painting,
Hmm.
flooring, kitchen, countertop replacement?
A quick little bathroom revamp. You ain't getting no new furnace and no hot water tank up in there, so you can X that out. No,
Not
and
getting a new roof for that,
yeah,
right?
you ain't getting no mechanicals done for real. Now I might update all the plugs and switches to make sure they grounded and
Yeah,
temperature resistant. Like, I do that, but you ain't getting like no new panel. You might get a hot water tank,
right.
and that, but yeah, you ain't getting no major mechanicals. Next question. They said that is my situation. I bought it from the owner. And they are still there 3 years.
Oh, so you brought the house from the owner and they rented the house from you?
Probably.
Yeah, okay. That was smart though.
Yeah, I mean,
Them the best people. Like some of my tax sale properties I brought, it was the people that was living there that lost it in the tax sale. And I worked it out and said you can continue to rent from me, or I sold it back to them on land contract.
yeah. But
And
how does that work for you though? Because my philosophy, if they didn't pay the taxes, why would they pay me a land contract?
again, it's mindset. I never understood it because I'm like, you paying me 700, 800 a month when your taxes were, 2,500 a year, and you lost it. But we got to keep in mind too. Some people go through things in their life, and at that moment, stuff just start adding up. So they probably had other bills or
Yeah,
family issues going on, maybe a sickness or something like that. So,
that's
or it wasn't originally their house, and they were living there with grandma or something, and because a lot of people don't know grandma's losing a house because she never said nothing to nobody. And
but
then,
you know what? With COVID, I bet a lot of that happened.
yeah, a whole lot of it happened. Yep.
Yep. Somebody said, what about rent stabilized or rent controlled apartments? So that's like low income affordable housing, right?
Yeah. So the thing I like about Michigan for the most part, even though we're kind of more on the tenant side. We don't have like certain parts of like California and stuff like that where they have the rent controls. We don't have that. You can charge whatever the market is allowing, but from a if you're asking from a tenant standpoint, yeah, of course, because you want somewhere where you can predict what your rent is going to be year over year, right?
Right.
From a landlord side, that's kind of iffy because the market can appreciate so quick over a year or two. Then now you're getting below market rent, and now you're attracting probably some of below average tenants over the next couple of years because everybody's fleeing from the other areas to come to your property or your apartment.
Yep.
But
Uh,
if it's being subsidized or something by the government or something like that, depending on the property and if it was like something you built, or there's some tax incentives too when you sign up for some of those programs.
they said, what about buying HUD homes? I'm not sure what part that was referring to.
Yep. So HUD homes are great. I mean, it's still. So here's the thing with HUD homes and foreclosures. So when we were listing HUD homes, a lot of people don't understand the banks were never and her their goal was never to sell these properties as a deal to have equity for investors and owner occupants, right? Their
Hmm.
goal is to sell the property at market value. So it just so happened that market value, because of the condition, was below everything else that was on the market. So to give you an example, HUD would send us, I would get like 30 listings a week, for example, right? They've already done appraisals on these properties. They have the ARV appraisal, and then they had the as is appraisal, and then they would list it for the as is price. And the reason being, if it's a $200,000 home that needed $50,000 in repairs, they were listed at 150, right? Kind of common sense numbers. Now,
Right.
if the property doesn't sell in 30 or 60 days, depending on the bank or if it's HUD, they had a time frame as to when they would start reducing the price, maybe by 5 or 10%. So what was happening is the market was depressed, so properties would sit longer. Now that property would sell for maybe like 120. Somebody can put 50 into it and have some equity. Well, in this market right now, shoot, you see a HUD home that's worth, a house is worth 200. The HUD home is listed at 180 or 195, right? So you're not really getting a deal unless you figure out how to cut corners on the renovation part of it, or
Mm-hmm.
if that property sits on the market too long and there's not enough demand for that property and someone buys it, you can buy it cheaper. But where the benefit with HUD home is, if you're owner occupant, most of their properties come on and they're only available to owner occupant purchasers for a period of time, and then
Mm-hmm.
it becomes available to investors if it's not sold. And then that's when you start seeing the deals, because the market said, hey, we're not going to buy this to live in it, it needs too many repairs, or it doesn't make sense, or we can't finance it in its condition. So now it's open to investors, and investors would just bid on it.
All right. Let's see. Uh, they're gonna make me start a mobile home community.
There
You
you
got
go.
you got to get zoning for that though. But if you get zoning approved, go for it.
Mobile homes and tiny homes,
Yeah.
if you could do it, that's because you got to think about this too. Um, Even though a lot more people are working from home, like we've seen an influx of buyers that were coming out of apartments, they're working from home. Now they have a need for a house, right? But you
Mm-hmm.
got to think of how many people really don't need all of that space. Like when you think about how much the average person of their home they actually use on a day-to-day basis, and especially if you're talking about somebody that's working 40 to 60 hours a week, how often are they really at home? Plus they have a social life, they're out entertaining, things of that nature. They just need a bedroom, bathroom,
In the
and maybe
kitchen.
a small place for them to sit down when they have one or two guests over.
Yeah, cause we have mobile home here. Like I just noticed, like last summer, it's a mobile home park right there on Stevenson Highway and 12 Mile.
Yeah,
I
yep.
just happened to look over, like, dang, and it's been there. I just ain't never paid it no attention.
Yeah, it's a couple in Warren. It's some here and some in Redford. A lot of these cities got little mobile home or trailer parks tucked in, and you don't really see them unless you drive up certain streets.
Mm-hmm.
Uh,
All right. How different is it buying land from buying a house?
um,
Way price wise,
Land. So here in Detroit, land is cheap.
very cheap.
We just came back from a conference, and the guy was like, "Buy dirt." Like he just said it outright, "Buy dirt," because they're running out of spaces to build. Um, if you can buy land. So in Detroit, I just sold a lot for $2,900 to an investor from New York, and she's an agent, right? So she's just like, I'm just buying up these lots. Now the disadvantage, what a lot of people don't think about, is if you're not here to maintain it, if
Yeah.
they start dumping on that lot, or the lawn, it gets overgrown, you're gonna get all these blight fines. Now you probably paid 2,000 or $500 or sometimes less. The taxes may be $50 a year, but those blight tickets be like 1,000, 1,500. So you have to have somebody to maintain it until you decide to do something with it.
Mm-hmm.
If you buy land from the land bank, a lot of times they still want to see a proposal on what you intend to do with the property, and they also want to know that you got the funds to complete the project. So what some people are doing, they're buying a bunch of land and they're just planting gardens or they're planting trees on them. I don't intend on building anything, even though they plan on building something at a later date. They're just going to put trees there or grow gardens, and then when they decide to build, they'll just tear it down.
That's what the Hines Group did. You know, all that land by me in 4214. They bought all them lots, and they
Yep,
sold over $2 million+ in lots. I think within the last year, because
yep,
that's because 4214 the hot zip code now. That's Indian Village, West Village, East Village, and Island View, all in that little pocket.
yep,
So that's what they did. They planted trees, saying it was to help eat up the lead in the soil from them tearing down the houses. Now that could be true, but when
yep.
they first did it, I was like, this is stupid because whoever bought it now got to clear it. But now I understand why they did it because they had to probably hold it for so many years before they could sell it without being penalized from the city. So now whoever buys it, they're just gonna go tear them trees down and build whatever they're gonna build on it.
Exactly. Yeah.
All right. Do you get things at a discount being a contractor? Yes and no. I would have to buy it at a certain volume to get the real discounts. So I got some land like on Kirchwood, the land behind my duplex. I said if I don't build on that, I'm gonna drop a container storage unit on there, and then I got somewhere to put whatever I buy, and then my team can just go get stuff, or I just do like a storage unit, like one of these nice stores, like Easy Storage or something, and I can start stocking stuff there. That's really my ultimate goal because at that point, once you start buying in volume, now I'm getting tile at like 30 cents a square foot, like nice shit. Like we talking porcelain and stuff like that. Cause I've talked to these suppliers, like this appliance connection reached out to me from Brooklyn. Like what they sending me high end Frigidaire packages for, I can't get that from no Home Depot,
Right.
but I ain't got nowhere to store that. Now, when it get to the point once we start building and stuff like that, oh yeah, go and bring me these 15,000 square feet of tile. Every house gonna have this damn tile. Every house gonna have the same faucet. Every house gonna have the same countertop. You gonna know this construction did that house because it's gonna have the same stuff. But it's gonna be nice high end stuff. But it's like the price that you're getting it for is like you have to. Or like me and Red can team up on some stuff and we split the cost and we just all gonna have the same product. But to answer your question in short, yes, but not really if you don't have nowhere to store it. Like at Home Depot, they give you a discount if you order like 10 or more doors or something like that at a time, which is cool because that's the average Detroit house gonna be 10 to 20 interior doors. But like the discount that you really want, you gotta buy like a crazy volume price.
Yeah. So that's another thing. So like, well, before I say this, that's a good business idea too. Get a bunch of contractors together and buy
Mm-hmm.
like a big, like not really a big warehouse, but just a space big enough so y'all can come together and order everything in bulk to get them discounts and
Yep.
store it there. Then maybe you have to pay a security guard and you have a check-in, check-out system to make sure they're not taking your supplies or whatever. Or figure out the logistics of it. But that'll be a good idea just so you can save that money.
Yeah.
But overall, for like to just buy in bulk for one person and to store it doesn't really make a lot of sense depending on how big the discount is because you got to think like let's say you saving let's say the cost what floor tile cost you per square or something, right?
Uh, if I get the nice cheap tile, it's like 79 cents a square.
So 79 cents a square. So let's say you get it for 50 cents a square or 40 cents a square, right? But you buy a shitload of it and you put it all in storage somewhere. And you might not use it for several months. But then you look and you like, damn, I could have used this money somewhere else to make some more money. That would have been way more than a little bit of dollars I
Yeah,
saved
hey, yeah.
just sitting over there in storage.
Yeah,
So
I will only do it if like I know I'm about to do something big. Like let's say I get 10 rehabs, same neighborhood or whatever. That's when I would do it because I
yeah,
need it then. But like doing one or two here is not worth it. And then over time, that tile could break. Now I done lost pieces to where you can't even get them pieces replaced because they don't make it no more because you bought it so cheap. Like But I have bought pallets. Like a lot of people sleep on Facebook Marketplace. I done bought hella materials off there for the cheap.
Oh yeah,
Every backsplash I've done since 2019 got the same gray subway tile because I bought a pallet for $300.
right.
They had it on there. I was like, what color? It was like gray, and it's like a couple boxes of white. Okay, I'll put them in the bathroom, whatever. Like just up by the vanity to make it look nice. But the last 8 houses all got gray backsplash out, and I'm halfway through that palette because
Yeah.
I just use it all for the kitchen backsplash, and it looks very very nice. It's a high end tile that I can't get in no Home Depot. You have to go to a tile shop to get it. And I'm like, I'm just gonna keep buying them.
So, or like if you're doing an apartment building and they got to do all the units,
Yeah,
that's when it really
that's
pays
when
off.
you do
Like,
it.
oh yeah,
Yeah,
I'm doing all of this, and then you keep some extra tile, some extra materials in case like the tile come up or break. Now you got a bunch of replacement left over. That's where it make the most sense at.
yeah. Like if I got to do an apartment building for sure, everybody getting the same.
Yeah, I got a flip we doing in Redford, me and one of my agents, and he was like, "Yeah, my father-in-law gonna paint, right?" So I'm like, so with my agents, I teach them to invest, but sometime I'll step back and I'll say, "Okay, how much do you want to be involved?" So whether it's financial or input, I discourage anybody from doing the work themselves. But he was like, "Yeah, my father-in-law." He paints for these property managers, so he does a lot of painting. And I seen his work; it was good. So they got the walls prepped, everything looking good. I come back the next day, it's painted, and they painted our shit Shasta, and I was like, I didn't even know Shasta was a color. I just thought it was like an off pink. But he was like, that's what they paint all the apartments. And I'm like, what the hell? Who living in these apartments?
You said it's called Shasta. I'm about to look up this color.
Yeah, so he was like, yeah, he just brought some paint he had from his last job. And I'm like, nah, man, he gotta repaint. So we went out and brought the paint because he was giving us a discount.
That's why, because he had all that paint.
Yeah, and I'm like, anytime somebody give me a discount off the back, it's kind of a red flag to me, like, because I know what prices are. I understand people got to cover their overhead. Then I understand too, like, really, I expect a discount if I'm giving you repeat, consistent business. But
Yeah.
like your first job, something wrong. So I figured that out
Uh,
quick.
I don't expect a discount at all. Like my subs, they look out for me, they have my back, but I've never asked them for that. It was just over years of us doing business and they gave it to me. And I'd be surprised, like, damn, thank you, but because I maybe because I don't ask for it.
Yep. Yep.
All right, somebody they said, can we talk about buying manufactured home versus regular property?
So manufactured homes technically are regular properties. It's just the building process is different, right? It's not wrong with manufactured homes, but it's really people's taste and preference. So if you buy a regular home, somebody designed it. They're gonna lay the bricks or whatever. So the bricks may be off an inch of an inch or something like that. So you will see more uniqueness in a regular home than you would a manufactured home. Most manufactured modular homes is designed and laid out whether they pre-built it at a factory and came and put it together on site. So it's just pretty much the look of it is going to be different. It'll have a newer look, but it's just going to be like kind of really box cutter.
Muted. My bad, I was muted. So I agree with that, but you do have some of these manufactured homes that look damn good, look like a house.
Yeah.
Like some I done seen, like, whoa, this is nice. Before
Yep.
you for a double wide.
Yep. So I'm just like, hey, if you it depends on what style you're going after, but it's really just a preference. Like I said, if you just buying a 2, 3 bedroom, something under 1,200, under 1,500 square feet or so, it's not that big of a difference. You just need a place to lay your head and enjoy life.
Mm-hmm. This for you, Reg. Do you recommend if you have an investment house there in Detroit to sell or to hold? I saw one house sold on the same street for 86K. I paid 37.5 in 2019. That's a hell of a jump. That's only 3 years ago.
Yep. Now the house that sold for 86, the question is how does that compare to yours, and what are you going to do with the money?
Yeah, how does that one look? What renovations been done?
Yep.
Done anything to it? Like I had this guy pull up on me on Big Orange the other day. We outside. He like, how much that house gonna sell? So I was like 250. He like, that's too effing much. Just started going off on me. I'm like, that one just sold for 170, and the rehab don't look nothing like mine.
Right.
He like,
And by the time you get done with yours, the market is going to be different too.
yeah. And
Yep.
I done had it a year because I'm kind of, I don't know. I think it would have sold for like 225 or so last year because how everybody was overpaying. But now I think I might get 250 because when I see other rehabs that done sold over there or houses that was in bad shape like mine was, they still selling for like 50 to 80,000 right now over there. And that's before they even touch it. So I'm like, I'm praying I get 250 because I'm hurting to this mother sale. Like
So
it's
here,
rough.
my answer to this would be really what you're going to do with the money, because if you don't have a no intention of doing anything with the money, but just having it in your bank account, if you're going to reinvest it and buy more $37,000 homes that's going to turn into 86 in 2 years, go right ahead and do it. But if you just, or maybe if you need the money, the other option would be to finance it, pull a little bit of the money out and keep the asset and buy more properties. But it really just depends on what you're going to do with the money, and if it's she didn't say if it was currently rented or not, but if it's cash flow positive, I don't see a need to sell it unless you're just trying to use the money to buy more properties. The issue is, can you find more $37,000 properties and get the same result over and over again?
That's true.
Yeah.
What does the certificate of occupancy actually do for you as an investor? So I guess Red could probably answer that part. But for me, well, as an investor, this is what I know. So if you and your tenant get into it and they want to call the city on you and file a claim, now they got to put their money in escrow, which means you're not getting no rent until whatever repairs are done. And this does happen because now it's gonna flag the house. The city gonna charge you $150 to even come out and do the estimate or inspection. At least that what it used to cost. I don't know. It probably done went up, but I remember it was 150, right? So if you got that city certification of occupancy, that lets so as soon as your tenant want to be an a-hole and call down there, they're gonna be like, well, whatever. We see this city cert pass on this, that, and the other. This is a civil matter. Now you got to take it to court. So that's from what I see it from. And then it shows that you actually care about the house. It was done right. It was done in the code. So if anything happened to where the tenant now is not paying rent, you have to evict that tenant, and then you go to court. That helps you not look like a slumlord because in Michigan you automatically a slumlord until proven otherwise. So I'm gonna let Reg answer the broker opinion.
So a lot of people don't know this. When I first started in real estate, my driver's license was suspended, right?
Mm-hmm.
Always had a feeling like if I get stopped by the police, some police will let you slide. So I'll be like, yeah, a little humble and stuff, like please, please, I'm going to get it and all this. But when I got my license right, I pull, what you pulling me over for? You know
That
what
part.
I'm saying? So the certificate of occupancy is, what you mean you ain't paying me my rent, right? The city asked me to do this. I delivered this property to you that complies with the city code. What are we talking about? So first and foremost, it keeps the city from fining you because you're not in compliance. Because
Yeah,
those fines can start adding up, and then it not only impacts that property, it impacts every property that you own, because now you're gonna be like on a hot list, and they're gonna be like, "Oh, we checking all their properties. We're gonna scrutinize everything." Now they're even talking about taking legal action against landlords that don't rent and have a certificate of occupancy. So it puts you in a position of, hey, I'm in compliance, I'm doing everything by the book. And if the tenant says, hey, this was broke, well, it wasn't broke when you moved in, plus I got a C of O, so you must have broke.
fact.
And if you go to court and they bring up the issue of the house is not up to code, the tenant can escrow their rent and not pay you until you bring it up to code. And then every time you send an agent out there to fix it, the tenant be like, I ain't letting you in the house.
Yep.
I ain't letting you in the house. Then you go back to court and say they ain't letting the tenant in. Now you got to pay Asia to come down to court to be a witness and say, and but with the certificate of occupancy, you don't have that problem.
Yeah, just do it right the first time and be done with it.
You know?
All
And
right.
if you did it without doing it right, go get it right.
So quick story time. So house I rehabbed a minute ago. I think we got done with it in 2020 finally, right? Passed all inspections. Marcus just sold his house finally, right? They inspector came in and was like, "Oh, the plumbing was done incorrectly. Everything in this house, the house is beautiful. We passed all inspection, everything. We scoped the drain and we see a obstacle in the drain that's structuring our view, so we can't scope the whole drain." I was like, "Send me the video, Marcus." So he sent the video. I'm like, "I don't see anything." I sent it to my plumber. I sent it to three different plumbers. They don't see anything. I sent it to my carpenters. They didn't see anything. I sent it to like seven people. I'm like, so I ain't tripping. And they like, oh, also this work was done illegally. I was like, Marcus, see attached. So I pulled permits on everything, and the house got a C of O on it. Because after I pulled all my permits, it's on the homeowners to take the permits to the city, and now they got to do a C of O. If you get them the permits, they can pull it up. They ain't gonna even come out to the house because you got all the paperwork
Yeah,
typically. So when I sent them the all the permits showing what passed for the plumbing, I was like, the drain pass inspection and the plumbing to the house pass inspection. See attached. They're like, well, it's not done to 2022 code. Dog, the house was did in 2018, 2019. It passed code then. So what you talking about now don't matter unless we come in here doing additional work. Now I gotta update the new work to today's code, but everything else passed from 2020 on back. So what the hell is you talking about? But
right.
they wasn't us. They were from across 8 Mile. They didn't look like us. So what they thought was, oh, this is a home investor who rehabbed the house, ain't pulling no permits, and we gonna come in here and lowball. So now they got to get her what she was asking for, which they end up going above asking price. But at first they was trying to come in at like 150. That house ended up selling for like 230.
Yeah,
All because I document everything and I keep my paperwork. And even if the inspector wasn't lazy, they could have called to the city and verified everything.
yeah,
But that's another reason why I tell him like, look, pull your permits, dog. Like I don't know why y'all be scared to pull permits. Probably because y'all got shady people out here doing work. They don't know what they doing. It could be that. It could not be. I mean, pulling a permit do kind of slow your project down because you got to wait to go to certain phases for inspections. But I just don't understand why people be so afraid to pull permits. I don't get that. But oh, so generational wealth says I'm getting $10,000 quotes to add a toilet in the basement. Is that normal? I just bought my home. Uh, I don't know if it's normal or not, but I do know plumbing to add on anything costs. Like in Big Orange, my plumbing cost me 12 grand, or because I wanted to add a bathroom upstairs and bring the laundry up instead of the typical 5 to 6 thousand of plumbing, new house, new picks with permits and stuff like that. So you got to think if they adding something in the basement, they got to bust the basement up. They got to tap into the new drain. If something, the old drain, that old drain is probably corroded and got to get replaced. Now they got to fix that too, plus permits, and then bring the pipe up, whatever, just for the toilet. Now you want to add a sink and then a shower. That's three more drains they got to add. So I'm gonna say that's a good price. What you
and
think?
and not only that, they got to do it right because you don't want no problems with your toilet in the basement.
Yeah,
Now,
you don't want that backing up.
yeah, you don't want that happening. So it's like you either pay the cost, but if it was now, just to clarify, I just want to make sure he's not saying that it's already an existing toilet and you want to add a new one, then that's different. But it sounds about right for 10 grand, maybe more, depending on where in the basement you're putting it. Because
Yep.
you got to keep in mind, the more the floor they got to break up, let's say the drain is on one end of the basement, now you want them to break it up, and yeah, it can cost 10 grand or more.
Mhm. And then it depends on if when they scope the drain, if anything done collapsed and got to get fixed, they got to fix that before they can tap into it. If they don't want to do the whole thing, and now if that's just a toilet, then you add in the sink, then the shower drain. That's two more drains they got to add. So yeah, that 10 grand ain't bad. And if that include permit, go on and run with it. Now what I suggest you do, whoever you hire, make sure you there them days that they do that, and you see what they take out and what they put back in. So what I do is I have my subs send me a video, or they send me pictures like this is what it looked like once we busted up, and here's it getting replaced. And the no pictures got iPhone pictures got a timestamp on it, so you will know if it's the same house that they send you, because they do get a little tricky out here.
You want to be there. So like if once they
Yeah,
open that floor up, make sure they pull permits too for that work. So once they open that floor up, you want to see what they're replacing. Like she said, you
mhm,
definitely got to see everything connected before they close it up. Because
yep,
some of the water leaks, if it's not hooked up right, you won't know for some months, sometime years,
yep.
if there's leakage under there. And all of a sudden you'll start getting water coming up in your basement. So yeah,
Well, before the water come up, you gonna smell it.
yup,
You ain't gonna know where it's coming from because it's raw sewage. You gonna smell it, which is not the greatest smell. And then after that, it's gonna start coming up because it has to come somewhere, or it might get so much water under that floor, your floor start coming in because
yeah,
it's opening up that concrete. So just make sure you there that you see what they taking out, what they putting in. If they have a problem with sending you that, hire somebody else because they shouldn't.
yeah. Always get 2 to 3 bids. Too. I always say get 2 to 3 bids so you'll have something to compare it to. Because
Mm-hmm.
10 grand may be cheap. But see, this is another reason why people don't want to own a home because they don't have to deal with all of that.
Yeah, because I know if you call Roto Rooter or somebody, whoo, they ain't gonna be no 10 grand.
Yeah, I want an extra bathroom. I'm just gonna go rent a house with an extra bathroom. I'm not trying to spend 20 grand.
True.
Yeah.
Do you need a certificate of occupancy with an Airbnb? I'm currently rehabbing a 2 unit that I will live in one and Airbnb the other. I'm gonna say yes. I think I don't care what you're doing with the house. I suggest you need to see about.
If you doing anything where somebody else is gonna be there and there's a potential risk for any liability, get a CFO for it. Because
Yep.
each city is treating Airbnbs different, and some cities say fine as long as you have a rental occupancy because it's a rental property. But once you have your CFO, that just basically saying the city came out, they checked it over for safety and state code, and they passed it. It's livable, right? And they
Mm.
put their stamp on it, so everything is functioning well. But the CFO is going to help you. You got to think about going to court. When somebody say this was broke or whatever the case may be, or who broke what, you got your CFO based on this particular date. But yeah, with an Airbnb, I would definitely have it up to city code because you got more people coming in and out than you would just one tenant.
Yep.
And
Uh,
I wouldn't let, so you getting the work done anyway. The biggest difference is when you bring it up to city code, you have to have your permits that are required for the work that you're doing. Not all work requires a permit, but the work that does, your mechanicals and things of that. In most city occupancy, the registration is like $100 to $200. So I wouldn't risk not having it for a couple $100 when I'm getting ready to make thousands off of Airbnb.
yeah, don't be cheap because if you cheap at the beginning, it's gonna be expensive in the end.
Yeah,
Um,
most people try to avoid dealing with the city because they want to be able to hide something. When you're out in the public, you renting this property out to the general public as an Airbnb, you don't want to hide nothing. You want to be above board, and then you can collect as much money as you want.
yep. He said, forget that basement and the toilet in the basement. I'm adding 2 rooms instead to add value. All right,
That's what's up.
let me tell you this: you still gonna spend 10 grand. You actually about to spend more because
You
if
gotta have an egress window.
you gotta have 2 egress windows because each room gotta have an escape. So if a fire happened, they gotta have a way to get out of the basement safely instead of running to the stairs. Gotta run up the stairs and go out the side door, back door, or the front door, depending on how the house is set up. So you actually gonna spend probably 15 to maybe even 30 grand because now you got to put an egress in each room, I believe. Yeah,
Yep.
because they both got to be able to escape.
Yep.
So you about to spend more money actually. All right, let me go to the Instagram questions. How can out of town people invest in Detroit? Well, you're here, so that's a start. You can come to Detroit Real Estate Weekend. If you don't do none of that, definitely do your research. But like I told a lady today on the consultation call, don't research yourself to death to where you don't do nothing with it. Because you can have all this information when investing in Detroit or whatever it is, stocks or whatever city, you know what I'm saying, and you still don't do nothing with it. So just start. So I definitely suggest you get a hell of a team because if you're not here, you need a very good reliable team like me, Reg, Marcus, Emma. Uh, who else? You got Darius Revere. He does great work. Jerron Benson Construction. They do good work. Like there's a lot of contractors out here who do good work. You just want to come up off that checkbook because we ain't cheap. That's just that.
Here's the thing. I tell all out of state investors. So a couple of things, right? Do not call a realtor. Don't call a contractor, wholesaler, anybody, and be like, "Yeah, I'm gonna be in Detroit this weekend. I want to look at a few houses."
Bruh,
I get it all the time. It's like,
all the time.
so for me as a professional business owner, businessman, that just shows me lack of preparation, right? Now, when I first started in real estate, an
Yep.
investor called me and was like, "Yeah, I'm from California. I'll be in town." I just thought they were big money. Then I realized, man, they still looking at $20,000 houses. Nothing wrong with that, but it shows a lack of preparation. So to me, it says you're not organized. You don't know what you're doing. The second reason is if you do that, I mean, what's available for me to show you tomorrow? Today, Friday, I got a busy schedule. It's only a few houses I might can get you in. You're probably not going to see the best opportunities out there. But the third reason is most realtors worth working with or wholesalers, they probably just not going to want to deal with you at that point.
Nope.
So,
Like that too when I first started. Like the guy who I had to that threatened me or whatever, like he was one of them, like I'm in Chicago, I'm about to drive over and meet y'all, me and Marcus or whatever. So we met up, went to Fish Bones, got something to eat. All this big talk. I done flipped in this city, I done flipped in that city. You know me, I don't care. I'm like, that sounds great. What are you doing now?
right,
What are you about to do now? Well, I want to change Detroit. First of all, Detroit don't need changes. I hate them investors. We don't need you.
right.
We
I
don't need.
want to change Detroit. I want to be part of the comeback. Well, move here, right?
Right, move here. That's part of the comeback. Cause now you paying property taxes and income taxes and all this other stuff. Do that, Bucko. Like I be snapping on people. I ain't got time for this.
So I don't you know I don't I love working with out of state investors if they're doing it the right way. Like I get investors that never set foot here. They sent somebody their money to buy a house that was gonna
Hmm.
manage it for them and handle the renovations, which was their cousin that renovated it. And then they come back to me and like, yeah, I need to sell this house because it's I'm not collecting rent on it. Now, what's the condition of the house? Oh, I don't know. Well, where's the address? They sending me some Google picture of the house that's not even the right house. So I tell out of state investors before you spend any money in Detroit, touch down in Detroit. Take
Yep.
time, plan out maybe a couple weeks in advance, reach out to some people and say, hey, I'm going to be in Detroit on this week. What day can you fit me in? Can you set aside 1 or 2 hours for me? Sit down and have a conversation. See the neighborhoods in person because the
Yep.
numbers may make sense, but the location may not because what you can get for 50,000 all in or 100,000 all in one area, you may look at another area and be like, I'm not touching that area over there. Or you may say, instead of me spending 200,000 on 1 or 2 properties, I can buy 5 or 6 in this area, but I know I'm gonna have a different set of headaches to deal with if I buy in this
Mhm.
area. So you need to actually see the areas. Most of your successful investors come to Detroit often. They check on their properties. They know the territory. They know the culture. They know the neighborhoods. If you're not willing to do that, I wouldn't suggest you invest here.
Yeah, because I think you should still come just to see Detroit, and
Yep.
then that goes back to having a great team. Like if you got it, like I got clients that ain't never been here, but they hire me, they hire Marcus, they hire you, they hire Charles Ryan, they hire people that we actually got integrity and we operate all the same. We all operate the same way, so we all get along and do good business together and separate. So they didn't have to come, but if you hire somebody that don't know what they doing, who only sending you Google images or sending you pictures of a house that ain't even your house, I mean, cause that happens. I done had clients out and I done went to the house for them. I'm like, this ain't the same house I'm at. Are you sure the address is 1, 2, 3, 4, whatever road? Cause bro, this ain't it. So I definitely suggest you come here, and if you can't come here, you just gotta, hire. I'm not gonna say you gotta hire me, but whoever you hire, just make sure they know what the hell they doing. Because you don't want to get your house flagged because you're working with no permits. Because that's happening now. Because
Yep.
inspectors is riding around, especially in hot neighborhoods, and they don't see no permit in that window, no yellow tag. You getting a fine. Then they're gonna put a orange tag on there, which is a stop work order. Then they're gonna come back and board your house up with them little clear things they put on there to where you can't even get in your property until you call them. So you got to do that too. Go ahead, Red.
It's like a boot for the house.
Facts. Like that
So,
was for your car.
yep. So one of the areas, like, for the reason I say come see Detroit is because, like, one of the areas I see people get burnt the most is based on zip codes. So some states you go in, you can tell like this zip code is the it zip code. All the values are somewhat consistent. But like the area that I see people get burnt the most in is 48203
Yep.
because you got Palmer Woods. Nothing in Palmer Woods is under probably like under 400,000 up to a million right now.
Yep.
And you got that east of Woodward, that 7 mile to 6 mile area, and it's like 4 blocks like Hollywood, Robinwood, those houses, nothing over there is like over 30,000. But this is literally across the street from each other, right on the other side
Yep.
of Woodward, same zip code. But then just south of like Hollywood, you got like Cedarhurst and a few of them streets where the houses are like 150 to 200,000. Then you go south maybe 4 blocks. Then you back down to 40,000. Then you go like 3 blocks south and you're in Highland Park. Then Highland Park has its 150 to 200. Then it has its 10 or $15,000 homes. But it's a whole different city. But they're all in the same zip code. So
Yep.
somebody would tell you, oh, this property on Hollywood is this, and it's a big 2,000 square foot house, but you like, and they're sending you comps in the same zip code within of a quarter a mile, because most people try to sell you on comps within a mile, and then you like, oh, they like, oh yeah, the ARV is 350, and I'm like 350,
Not over here, bro.
and then the renovation does cost you 80,000, but the house is only worth 60, right? Completely renovated. So if you never been here,
Too.
you said what?
4214 like that because it's a high market.
Oh
But,
yeah,
but you got Indian Village, which is $1.5 million. But then
yep,
when you cross McClellan and St. Clair, it dropped back down to 215.
right, right. And famous is like you talk about Mac and Bewick, right?
Yep.
Look at how close that is to everything, and like literally like less than 8 blocks over, it's like a whole different. It's a whole different income class, just 6 to 8 blocks away.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So when people don't come here, they don't get a feel of the area. It's kind of hard to really invest in it. It's like investing in a stock and not looking at the financials of that company, right? Not not knowing anything about their balance sheet. You just buying it because the stock is high right now or it's cheap like GameStop, even though it's not a good company to buy. So
Right.
you got to come here and figure out what your um what your strategy is going to be. Also, you got to figure out what your investment tolerance is. Everybody can't invest the same way. The numbers may make sense. People always call me about cap rate. Oh, what's the cap rate? What's the ROI? Yeah, that's good, but what's your emotional ROI?
Facts.
Can you deal with buying a house in Brightmoor and renting it out and holding it for 10 years versus buying a house in Hazel Park? Because when we say Detroit, you can also invest in the surrounding suburbs or
Yep.
different areas of Detroit. So you have to understand what your investment strategy is going to be based on who you are as a person.
Mm-hmm. He said, "Oh my God, I'm just gonna bite the bullet and get a loan. I only have 10K cash there. You gonna spend 10K either way, like, but on them two rooms, you can frame them out and say they storage. But if you trying to add them as bedrooms, you gotta throw that egress up in there and all that good stuff. You gotta add electrical in there. Now you gotta add heat in there.
Yep, you got to make sure he.
Yeah.
So I got a question for generational wealth, right? Because this is I actually have a family member that was trying to buy in Redford. This was back in 2018, 2019, right? If she see this, she probably gonna kill me. But she's, She's middle aged. Son at the time was in college, so not staying with her. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
Daughter wasn't staying with her. She insisted on having a house with a 1.5 bath or two bathrooms. She didn't want anything in one bathroom. At the time, her budget was about 125, right?
Mm-hmm.
And we're like, just get a one bathroom. Like, what do you need the other bathroom for? And she was like, well, because I got two kids. I'm like, the one kid gone, she just come, you just grandma at this point. And then the other one is away at college. When he comes home, he's not gonna be around much longer. And then what's the chances? How often do y'all all have to use the bathroom at the same time? Right? So I could talk this way because it was family. So she insisted on having an extra bathroom. Now that was 2018, 2019. Couldn't find anything, kept getting outbid. Now back in the market, came back in the market the end of 2020, 2021. Guess what? All of those homes are 145 with one bathroom. Anything with more than one bathroom is 150, 155, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I'm like, if you would have just brought the one bathroom for 125, you would have 30,000 in equity right now. Guess what you could do with $30,000 in equity? Get your other bathroom, right?
Yep.
But again, now nobody's living at home but her. So do you still need two bathrooms? So sometimes you have to make the financial decision and then you have to use like some logic. Like how important my basement bathroom, we barely use it. Sometimes I go down there as cobwebs, right? But it's there. It's convenient to have when we had extra company. But if I had to spend 10, 15 grand to build it, I probably personally wouldn't. But if I had a large family, that probably would make sense.
Well, we got 1.5 back because our house new construction. It got built in 2000, and if I do move, I gotta have at least 1.5 because I'm used to having it. And like when we had to fix my mom bathroom upstairs, I was grateful we had that half bath because we couldn't access because it got renovated. So like in the case like that, I'd be like, but when I rehab homeowner houses, that'd be my first question. Like, all right, we doing your bathroom? What y'all gonna do? Because this mother about to be out for 6 weeks.
Yeah.
So
But you know what? Our trip to Senegal was like all about like 6,000. So you just go to Senegal for a week and come back with a new bathroom instead of spending the 10 on the other bath. I
I
don't
mean, that's true too. I am about experiences. All
know.
right, we're gonna answer some of these Instagram questions. Is Westwood neighborhood and Brightboard two separate neighborhoods I plan on renting to domestic violence victims? Yes. Westwood is like what Outer Drive and Linden somewhere
Yeah.
up there.
Because you got like Westwood, Brightmoor, and that's what we was talking about, like with the coming here and actually seeing the neighborhoods.
Mm-hmm.
To the average person, these areas kind of blend into each other, right?
Right.
But you cross one block, one or two blocks, and it's a whole different neighborhood, different house price point, different income level, different culture, different everything. So yeah, it's definitely two different areas.
Yeah, you can go to the neighborhoods.org, which is the city of Detroit website, and they got all the neighborhoods on there broke down. So like I know a big they got a big picture on here, Westwood and Schoolcraft. That's like up in there. So definitely two separate areas. Let's see. I already answered that one.
Can I?
Should be one room and a bathroom. Oh, you talking about with the 10 grand.
Oh
Are
yeah,
there better zips in Detroit for multi units? A high zip code that got hella multi units is Davidson Linwood. It's
yeah.
hella
What's that? 48206, right?
yeah. But
Yeah,
see that one got funny comps too. Because you got part of 4206 that's the Broad Street neighborhood, which got
yeah. And
hella
Russell
uh,
Woods.
yeah, Russell Woods and stuff up in there too. So that one got funny comps, but the number that neighborhood is definitely I don't say it's getting gentrified, it's definitely gentrified.
Yeah, because of the size of the homes, but
Yeah.
you got to think too, like what does it cost to renovate those, right? And if you got the old boilers in there, and it got that old plumbing for the boiler system, they got that asbestos wrapping on
You
it.
gotta take all that out.
Yep. So you just got to think like if it's a good investment, you got to think about it long term. You'll definitely make your money back, but
Yeah.
it's just gonna cost you more up front. You may get the house for cheap, and it's a good quality house because all of them are brick, sturdy. Um, but you may have to come in there and put a $20,000 roof on it, and then your facial boards and
Them roofs over there big as hell.
yeah,
Like them roofs are, and they be some be single family, and like I know some of them houses over there, it look like a single family from outside, but when you go in, you like, damn, this is a two family,
two unit,
because
yeah.
you can't really tell because there's not two addresses on there. It'd be one, and then you go in and it'd be the stairs or whatever. But
So here's the thing too. If you buy those houses, the thing I noticed, if you invest the money like good money and do good quality work up front, them houses last. It lasts forever.
yeah, because it's all brick. I don't think it's no frame houses over there. It's all brick. Like we talking multi units over there, 2 units and up, 3, 4, and then some of their multi is odd numbers like 5 units, 7 units. Like
Yeah,
they real odd over there, but they big, beautiful, massive houses. They've been vacant for 10 or more years. They're all going to require a full gut unless you get lucky and this one that was somebody living in. I built one for this lady on Clemens Street.
oh
Shoot,
yeah,
I built about 250.
yeah. For renovation.
Yeah, that it's been sitting. Her family member did a horrible rehab job. She got water coming in the basement from which way. So you got to address that before I do anything to this house. It need a roof. The only thing new on there was the security doors, the black doors. I'm like, okay, you can keep those.
Right,
But if I told her, I was like, if you do keep this, if you let me renovate this, it's gonna look like a whole new place because I'm a woman. So when I do my rehabs, I do it like as if I'm living here. So
right,
like I told her, if you convert it to a single family, make that upstairs kitchen a laundry room or a big dumbass bathroom with like a walk-in closet and all that, because you got the space for it and the plumbing's already there. So you just gotta add the drainage for the toilet. I was like, or keep the kitchen and bring the laundry upstairs to both of them because both of them had a kitchen and like a breakfast nook room,
right,
like 12 by 13, and a dining room. So I was like, that breakfast nook room, I would turn that into the kitchen, and then the actual kitchen, I would make the laundry room. So as soon as you come off the side in the basement, now you got a laundry room slash mud room,
right. Everything first floor.
everything in both units. So they only got to go to the basement for storage
Right. That
or
makes
whatever. So she's like, dang, that's a cool idea. Are there better zip codes in Detroit? Oh, I already answered that. Are you posting all of these on YouTube? Yeah, all of them on YouTube started in January of last year. Are there any other zip codes that I recommend looking at? I love 40214, 215, but not all the 215 yet because that's the same issue like you were saying with 4203 because that's Jefferson Charmers.
mm,
That's I forgot what else over there. So it depends on what side you on.
right.
Um, hold on. I think that was it on there. So on Instagram, they said, "What do we think about investors calling to buy your property all the time? What does that say about your property? That means your area might be pretty hot."
Yep. Or you probably so like with me, I have ISA, or people call them VAs. We got VAs and ISAs, what we call them. So my ISA is just sales. So her job is just to call motivated owners, whether they're absentee owners, um, landlords, investors or property owners just to see if they want to sell. So it may be because it's a hot area or it's a hot market, but it may be just somebody calling you because they're just calling in general for your area, period. So I call, like for instance, I broke Southfield down into 8 areas and I have her call every listed number in that area. So it's not like um, I'm picking out any particular house. I'm just working with anybody that want to sell from the sales side. For my investment strategy, it's a little different. We handpick certain people to call because we see that they have equity in their home. Maybe we got an absentee owner list that we're calling on because we know they're feeling the pain points. But it can be a combination of reasons. But yeah, if I will always throw a price out there and see if they're willing to pay it.
My mama been getting letters well before she passed. And I knew one of the investors. I called so quick. I was like, "Don't take my mom off the list. She ain't never selling."
Right.
Like age, I was like, "Hey, yup, that's me. What up, though? How you doing? Take her off the list.
Yep.
If she gonna want for it, you ain't about to get her because she got me as her kid. So go on about your business."
Yeah. So it's a lot of people, wholesalers and investors and realtors that have people calling for them, and they're calling neighborhoods, or they're calling specific property owners. Like, I get calls on my properties all the time. I get letters in the mail, people looking up my LLCs and sending me letters. Do you want to sell the property? I'm like, no, it's already sold. But
Mhm.
yeah, it could mean that it's a hot area, but it can also mean they're just calling in general because you're on the list somewhere.
All right, the same generation of they said so. They property is a converted duplex, 3 beds, 1 bath on the first, two one on the second, 160,000. What they want to do is a 7 bed, 3 baths to add at least 50K. It's gonna cost you more than 50K to add that.
Yeah. And again, it depends on how long you're going to hold it. Like you said, generational wealth, right? If this is something that you're going to keep in the family long term, I mean, you'll get that money back with appreciation and things of that nature. But here's what I say to people converting 2 units to single families. It may make sense now, but we got to keep in mind, like, our parents did some stuff to houses. We like, what the hell did they do that for?
Right.
So just picture this in about, I want to say maybe in about 15 to 20 years, some our grandkids or our kids gonna walk in these houses and be like, what is this ugly ass gray and white walls? Why did everybody paint their house gray? And what is this granite stuff on this countertop, right? Just like we go and look at these houses with those pink and blue tiles in the bathroom.
Exactly. Everybody got the checkerboard. I'm like, somebody made a killing back in the day because everybody got this same damn tile.
Yep. So the conversion may make sense for you, but will it make sense for the market 5 or 7 years from now? So
And you know,
always think of the best use for the property, outside of your personal use.
but you know what? Granite is really kind of outdated. We just really started using it in Detroit. 'Cause when I go to other cities and stuff, they ain't using granite no more. They using quartz and travertine and
Yeah.
marble and all this other stuff. Like granite will still sell in Detroit all day because you updating the house, but it's actually kind of dated. Like we
Yeah.
stopped using
Granted, it's like granted. It just sound nice. Granted.
yeah. We
Granted.
just started really using granite in Detroit, like for real. I get maybe the last 5 years. The overall goal is to take the money from the refi place tenants here and buy another. So why you can't rent it like it is now? You want to turn with the 3 bed to a four, and then the two into a three. You might as well just buy another house or build.
Yep.
That's what I do. Can you give any info? What's the development picture? So 4224 is a good zip code. It has its parts though, like where Big Orange is at. I'm close. I'm in Morningside, so I think I can still use some of East English Village comps because that's within my quarter mile, I think,
Yep.
or half mile, or whatever it is. And then I'm right by a school, so it depends on what part of 4224 you at, I think. Because the
Yeah.
closer
Because
you get to Mac, your number's gonna be way higher because you're right by Grosse Point.
yeah, because it's gonna be different than like if you over by like Cashew, Chester,
Yeah.
um, streets, and then if you go like off of Moraine, like Ryad, Peyton, those streets over there, it's gonna be a whole different. But 48224 overall is pretty good. That's where I started my real estate career at.
Oh, that's dope.
So, yep. So that area is good, but you do have your parts that aren't so great over there once you cross Harper going
Yeah.
north.
They said gentrification, great. Speaking of gentrification, two quick stories. Oh, I live in 48214. I'm in Island View, West Village. It's a liquor store on Kercheval and the Boulevard on the left hand side if you're going towards downtown, right? So
Yep.
they've been doing renovations since last summer. So it was called Payless Liquor Store and More before the renovation. Guess what it's called now?
What?
Payless Market.
Yeah. Okay. So
so
what?
so look, they done renovated the whole outside. They done put this nice stucco on there, the brick face, and it's beautiful on the outside. I ain't seen no winos outside no more. I
Yep.
ain't see no ladies of the evening out there no more. Like
Yep.
I'm like, I'm like, so now I'm gonna do a video showing the outside of it since the weather's starting to get warm a little bit, and just show like, if this ain't gentrification, I don't know what is.
And guess what's funny about that? You know they still sell liquor, right?
Yeah, they just changed the
So,
name.
so the same people that was hanging around to buy liquor, they could still hang around. It's just the outside appeal of it. Like it studies like if you take if you take a house and board it up and you put graffiti on it, the neighborhood changes according to that property. But the minute you clean it up, it's something about that outside appeal that changes people's mindset,
Yeah,
right?
it
So they
looks
still got the same product in there. They just call it market. Maybe they did add some overpriced vegetables or something in there, but it's still technically a store with liquor. It's just the perception of it is different.
yeah. So they cleaned it up. So they did. So Kirksville they done revamped, right?
Yeah,
So
yeah,
like it's not two lanes on both sides. It's one lane. Then you got the bike lane, the
yeah.
bus lane, and then a park lane. So while all that was going on is when they fixed it up because I guess they like, well, traffic gonna be down anyway. But the outside looks really nice. I was like, I'm gonna do a video and go inside and just show. If it look like a little market up in there, I'm gonna bust out laughing.
Oh yeah.
Like,
It's probably gonna be like that. They're trying to appeal to the new consumer and demographic there.
all right, second gentrification story. I noticed this yesterday. The apartments on Larn, right where I got
Look,
a lot because
gray.
just like they got gentrification address numbers because they showed on my mama house.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Nice block ones or whatever. I put them right on my mouth like we got gentrification numbers now. So
Right.
look, uh Lawrence Street is some apartments that was brown or whatever right across. So where the new Myers at the Rivertown Market on Jefferson, and then
Yeah.
behind it is Lauren. This side of Lauren had got some apartment buildings that's been there my whole 39 years of living. They renovating the outside. They got the gentrification numbers on there, and
Yeah.
instead of gentrification gray is that gentrification blue, which is that nice navy blue. So
Yeah.
the old raggedy siding was they done took that down, put the nice hardy backer board side, and they ain't no cheap side
Right.
put that on there, and each one got. I'm like, ain't nobody seen this. Like, y'all ain't paying attention to this. Y'all rent is about to go up for either they not. And who else I think about to get pushed out? Everybody who live in them king homes.
Oh yeah, yeah. Cause look at the location.
It's always been a great location. You right by Shane Park. You can walk downtown. The river is maybe a mile up because if you just take what's that by Lawrence, like Shane or something like that, that take you right to the river. So
Yep.
I don't know if they renewing leases and stuff over there, but them about to be king home condos
Condos. Yep.
off
Big
Lauren
old
and
blocks.
Lafayette or something.
Yep.
Like that's about to definitely change. Just like the ones they did across the street from King. Them used to be like affordable housing and they turned them into co-ops and stuff.
Yeah. I think eventually, like within the next 10 years, all of them gonna end up being condos. They gonna give people. You know how they first when they did Herman Gardens and they gave people relocation money or they assisted them with moving. And I think the agreement was they'll be able to move back. They'll have first right to move back when it was redeveloped.
You talking about the ones they built over there off Joy and Southfield?
Yeah.
Yeah, them is nice.
Yep. So when it was Herman Gardens, they had moved all them people out so they can do that project because that land sat vacant for years. But
Hmm.
then when they start, I think the agreement was that the people that moved out of Herman Gardens, they would have the opportunity to come back first. But of course, they probably couldn't afford it. So I think something like that's going to happen in those them
Yeah,
complexes downtown.
because King Home is the only affordable housing over there.
Yeah, and you right in the heart of everything.
You right by everything. And
You
I
down there with people paying 300,000 and 400,000 for 1 or 2 bedroom condo.
facts. Because
They
you
ain't
got
paying that
the
kind
1300
of
right
money.
there. You got
You
the
got what?
1300, huh?
You got what you said?
I said you got the 1300
Oh yeah, Lafayette.
yeah, right there. You got
It's
the one across the street from them with the nice pretty glass. Them going for 400,000 500,000 now. Then you
something going on with
got
Lafayette. Cause out of all the years I've been in real estate, like a couple years ago, I sold a couple units there. You would see maybe 2 or 3 for sale, It's when I counted last, it was 17 of them for sale at once. I don't know if it's something with the HOA or I know a lot of people. My clients were older and they were moving to like Henry Ford Village and different retirement homes. So it
Mm.
could have something to do with age or some people passed away. But I've never seen that many units for sale at once in that building.
I wonder if the HOA fees, because like you got Harbor Town, their HOA fee is retarded.
Well, Lafayette, like if you get one of the combo units where they combine two units, the HOA fee is like 18, 1900. But it includes all your utilities and everything. But it's still like some of the people paying $800, $900 a month HOA fees. The units aren't that expensive, especially for the view that you get. But it's
Yeah.
still it's crazy. I've never seen that many units for sale. Plus, with a co-op, you gotta go. You either gotta pay cash or use their the lender that finances co-ops, which changes like every couple years. And
Mm,
then the other issue is the co-op association has to approve you. So
mm.
unlike a condo, I can sell my condo to somebody and they can just buy it. Whereas with a co-op, they got to get approved by the board, and a lot of people get denied too. So
That's low key a form of what is that?
discrimination,
Yeah, that's definitely discrimination. They
not
can pick and choose who they want
necessarily
to,
because
right?
that's the difference with a co-op because it's it's they got like each co-op has their own qualifying guidelines, right? But it can be discrimination. It's just like how do you prove that though?
Mm.
Because you never really get two identical applicants, right?
I would like to do a study on them to see how many blacks in there and browns compared to how many others.
Oh, it's a lot of it's all my clients were black in that unit in that
That's
building.
good.
Yeah, all of them. I don't. I think um up until recently, I never been in that building to see more than two white people.
Well, maybe because of where it's at in this Detroit. But I remember when the market was bad, you could have got a condo in the 1300s for like 30 grand, 40 grand.
Dude, they was like one of my agents. She brought one. She brought one, and her mother brought one. She paid 10,000 for hers. Her mother paid 25 for hers.
Oh, I would have bought that too. But what was they what they you said they paying that 1800, but
Well, no, she was paying at the time. She was paying 700 a month HOA fees.
that ain't bad with all your stuff
You know,
included.
that included all your utilities, though.
Oh, I had that heat on banging.
Right.
All right. Rachel Barnes says I'm in 4204 Midwest. Right, you in Midtown. The sale through the land banks have been crazy. There was a lot of demo houses too. Yep.
Yep.
The land bank, now that I understand the purpose of the land bank, what they doing is actually pretty dope.
Yeah.
Because they go in, they take the asbestos out, they take the lead out, don't charge it to the person, and I always because I asked them on my call with them the other day, I was like, why y'all don't just tear the houses down? Because the amount of rehab that they need, you can build like a container or a modular or do stick build whatever. And they was like, because if we do that, if people in the neighborhood start fixing their houses up, they can't use the new construction for comps. And I was like, I did not know that.
Yeah.
I was like, the land bank is actually pretty dope because I didn't really understand it until I had that conversation with them.
So the land bank gets a bad rap because people just didn't understand it. So like if you brought a house from the land bank, most of the people that's mad at the land bank is because they was trying to get over. Like
Yep, they want to get their C of O.
yeah, you buy this house, you got to have your CFO within 6 months. Well, you ran into some hard times, you couldn't finish it. They'll give you an extension as long as you're showing progress. All they want you to do really is communicate with them.
Yep.
Would not be able to fix their house and just not call and not say nothing. And then when they reach out to the people, people will ignore them. And then next thing you know, they taking the house back. But if
Mm-hmm.
you call and be like, okay, I got the roof on, I'm not gonna have no more money until July to finish the plumbing, and you can show them proof of that, and you doing little things every now and then. You're not letting the house sit open, and you keeping the grass cut. Send them some photos. They'll work with you. They
Yeah,
don't want the houses back.
yeah, 'cause it's gonna cost them more money to secure it, maintain it, insurance, stuff like that. So You just got to communicate with them. Like the land bank is not bad. I do know a lot of contractors that don't even want to touch land bank houses because of I don't know what reason, but if you're doing stuff right as a contractor or an investor, a land bank house ain't gonna bother you. Like
Right.
I like doing land bank houses. It don't bother me because I do all my houses to code, so it ain't no big deal. Do you recommend a new investor to start with two rehabs? Um, if you're a brand new investor, either local or not local, I don't suggest you do a full gut first. I just don't. I think it should be some in and out. We talking 4 to 6 weeks rehab, so that's cosmetics typically. I don't suggest a full gut. If you do it anyway, that goes back. But either way you go, you got to have a good team.
Yeah, I wouldn't recommend. And to this day, I don't like. From the time I buy the house and close, I like to be back on the market in like 4, possibly 5 months. Anything longer than that. So when you're doing a full gut job, you spending all that time just on renovations. I don't want to be stuck out there and the market is starting to change and I'm still trying to put a house together.
Yeah,
So first, what take a lot of investors a long time, they don't have all the money they need to finish to pay the contractors to finish the job. So now they piecing that together. But I would try to do a project like she said, something that's going to take you 4, maybe 6 weeks if possible. um, Even if it means, so when I say 4 to 6 weeks, that don't mean you close today, 4 to 6 weeks later it's done. You may have to wait 2 weeks for your contractor to start because all your contractors are booked. So I rather wait 3 weeks on the right contractor and then they're in and out in 4 to 6 weeks than
mm,
just try to hire somebody that can start tomorrow and then they still gonna be taking 3 months to finish it, right?
right.
Or they not gonna do it right. So yeah, for a new investor, you kind of want to be close from acquisition when you purchase the property and possibly back on the market within 4 months if you can.
Yeah, cause like that was my fear with Big Orange. I'm like, Lord, don't let these comps change. But unless they change for the better, cause I done been in this house over a year now, behind my
Right.
control. So that was my biggest fear. But I think I'm gonna be straight because the numbers are still good here, if not better. And then the way I do my rehabs, it's not too many contractors in Detroit rehabbing like that with permits. So like, and then I tell people too, when you pull permits, that actually helps the value of the house when the appraisal time come in, because you can prove like this is what we're done. I got permits to prove that too, so I think that helps too.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a good thing. Like too, like when you do a FA, so when you flip a property, if you sell it, FHA don't want you to sell it before 90 days. Not if you're accepting FHA financing. But within between 90 and 180 days, they're going to want you to have two appraisals. So usually the buyer pays for the first one, seller pays for the second one. Then after, I think it's 120 days actually. No, it's 180 days. It's only one appraisal needed. But the issue is you want to get back out of that property quick. So when you do your first and second appraisal, they're always going to go with the lower of the two appraisals. And some appraisers will scrutinize the property like, hey, you brought this property for 80, now you're selling it for 210. What's to justify the work? Even though they can see some of the work was done, but they really don't know what the house looked like before you got it, right?
Right.
Maybe it already had granite, right? So if you can document and say, hey, here's all the work we did, here's my invoices, here's my permits, it'll justify that value. Yeah, I brought it for 80, but I had to put 70 into it, or I had
Mm-hmm.
to put 100 into it, or whatever the case.
Sure. I'm gonna be all in Alpha probably. Oh shit, I'm about to be all in probably 150, and that's from holding it as long as I did, because that was more cost on the dogs. Then I had to pay for the I had to end up paying a lot of the back taxes down out of that because I kept it so long and I didn't want to go into foreclosure. Because the plan was to be done and sold by Halloween, then I wouldn't have to worry about paying the taxes. So that made more cost. I had to pay for one trade twice because for whatever reason, but it didn't happen. I learned a lot on this house and I documented it, so it's gonna be a great YouTube story once it's done and sold. So
I
go ahead.
No, I was gonna say a lot of times too, like with you and like Shaka and even my friend Marcus, like y'all are contractors and investors, and I tell people to listen to y'all, but don't try to do what y'all do at home because the thing is, like, say you working on your project and you be like, well, I'm too busy to deal with it. We got all these other jobs. And then one day you don't have much to do, and you be like, okay, I'm gonna take the crew back over here to my project.
Hmm.
So you can turn the heat up on your own project anytime you choose to. As an investor, I don't have that option. I have to work on your time and your time only as a contractor. So you can wake up tomorrow and call your guys and be like, we going over here to this project. And they going to go over to your property and start working on it if you choose to do that.
Yeah.
I don't have that option to call any of y'all and be like, hey, come over here on Pembroke tomorrow. You know what I'm saying?
Well,
So,
I don't. I kind of got that, but I don't because I'm a full GC. I just have great relationships with my subs to where they, and that's another thing. My subs look out for me on this flip. Like they didn't like if this was a client house, I would have had to charge them then their 250 for the same amount of work because
right,
my subs would have charged me like they supposed to for the rehab, and I didn't ask for that. They just did it because of our good relationships. But on the plus side, since I've done enough projects over the years, they see my results. They like, all right, next house you buy, we in with you. I'm like, cool. Like
yep.
I was gonna ask y'all, but I wasn't sure. But I like it better when people come to me with it because then it's like it's a lot easier to have a conversation or to make decisions.
Yeah. So for the average investor, they have to build those type of relationships first before they get in and be like, yeah, I'm gonna just do this way because they seen y'all do it. Just
Yeah,
different as or just different as a GC, in other words.
no, my house got 48 recessed lights. That would have cost you 500 a light.
Right.
Like for real. Cause recess lights ain't cheap, but what they charged me wasn't gonna be. They might have charged me 300 instead of 500, or I buy the stuff and then they just get a labor, which I'm still paying 300 a light. Cause when people want recess lights, y'all gotta understand that stuff ain't cheap. And then I added I tore the garage down because it had fell down basically. I rebuilt that. It's a two car. I'm doing the automatic, like, so a lot of stuff I'm doing over here a typical investor wouldn't do. But the price I bought the house at, even with me being all in at 150, if I sell it for 250, I'm cool with that. That's 100 grand. Even though it took me a year, but if I make 100, that's somebody's salary that I made in a year doing this. Imagine if I could have got done faster, or I could do two or three of these at a time.
Right.
And the only plus thing about this house, I'm glad I didn't borrow money from nobody. I'm using all my own money. So I am so broke until it's done and sold. Because if I would have borrowed money from somebody, now I got to start paying back because you got impatient people and stuff like that. But I said I might do the next one with some people, but I'm not taking no less than 50 grand because you're not going to, if you're going to stress me, it's going to be worth. You're not going to stress me over 5,000. Get the hell on.
Yeah.
Mm-mm. But they said all the HOPs are different. The 13 units. I was looking at those. So this is gonna be the last question because it's 9:09 and we at our 2 hour mark. So Miss MJ wants to know, Reg, if you do property management.
Hell no. 'Cause I don't. So even for some of my own investment properties, when I had like a lot of tenants, I hired property managers. I am not I am not the landlord that want to deal with tenants. I did when I first got in the business. I had rental properties when I was like 19 and 20 and all that.
Mhm.
For one, it's a distraction for me because I got when I say I do real estate, like I have my sales team, I have my investments. It's not worth my time to manage when I can pay somebody 10%, then they can take on the responsibility, they can take on getting the contractors and all of that. So yeah, I don't do property management. And for me, from a business perspective, I tried it for a minute when I was doing REOs because I already had the systems in place to
Mhm.
manage those properties. But managing properties with people in them was different, and it wasn't enough money in it for me and my team for the amount of units. We had a lot of investors buying bank foreclosures that wanted us to manage the properties, but at the time, it's like it didn't make sense financially. I'm big on numbers, and I'm looking at how much money I can make for my time, and it just wasn't worth it.
No, that's real. I don't do property management. I will manage my own, but I won't do it for nobody else. So, like, if I do this refugee program, I manage them because honestly, we don't speak the same language, so I'm not going to hear from them.
Right.
That's the way I look at that. Now, what I will do is, let's say if I get 10 or more houses that I'm renting to them, that's when I'm going to find somebody who speaks that language. That's I need you to come work for me. And you just answer calls and stuff like that, dealing with them, which I think is a dope idea if anybody do that because that makes you more personable and there's no language barrier. And then that'll help you probably get more houses because they're going to tell all their homies.
Yeah. So I will say this though: if you're a brand new investor, and you have the time, and you're starting out with one property, manage it yourself just so you can understand the ins and outs if you can. But then once you get a couple properties, just go ahead and pay the money and have a property manager, a good licensed professional property manager. Um, and you could do it yourself and save the money, but you don't want your phone ringing at 10:30 at night for a toilet. Let the property manager handle that.
I'm with that. The few I had business hours. You're not calling any of these bigger companies after hours. You're going to leave them a message and they're going to get back to you in the morning.
Right.
Now, if the house on fire, that's a whole nother story. You shouldn't be calling me first either. You should be calling 911.
Right.
But well, that's it for today, y'all. Thank y'all for coming in, Instagram and YouTube and Facebook, because I'm live across all three. I figured out how to do that. So I want to thank you again, Reg, for coming on. I appreciate you. Welcome, come on here anytime. Church announcements again. We have Detroit Real Estate Weekend. The first weekend of August is gonna be dope. We got a really out cold panel that's gonna be speaking. We got people from the land bank, some big city developers I'm gonna reach out to come. Reg, Ponce as far as attorneys and stuff, Emma with title company. Because like I tell people all the time, title is the most important part of your deal. The title wrong, the deal wrong. That's just how I feel. Next month's topic is the date is so this is every third Friday. That's actually Good Friday, so that's April 15th. The topic will be Michigan evictions and squatter rights with Ponce Clay. He's going to be our guest speaker. Reg, you're welcome to come on too. He's a licensed real estate broker in Michigan and a real estate attorney, which I think is awesome to have him come on. I try to have him come on we had him come on last year. So we was like, we're going to have him come on every year because it changed.
Yeah.
Like whatever going on, like he can always update it. Cause y'all be asking me, and I don't know. That's what I hire Ponce for. He's my attorney, so I'm just gonna say see him. So you got any last comments, questions, concerns, Reg, for the people before we go?
No, that's pretty much it. I'm all set.
All right. Well, thank y'all again for tuning in. Shout out to everybody who bought badges on Instagram. Everybody who supported the show today on Cash App. Thank you very much. See y'all in August and have a great weekend. Deuces.
All right.